All right, as we wait to see who else might show up, as according to at least YouTube, there's only one person waiting, watching. Guessing that's me at the moment. Um, Wait to see if anybody else, of course, will be popping in here soon. Um, One is the loneliest number that you'll ever see. Excuse me a moment. I gotta go off camera here real quick. Tend to my dog. I'll be right back. All right, had to go tend to my dog real quick. So let's see. Is Lydia Mc? No, I don't think she is. Um, seems to be an okay voice actress to me. I mean, granted, she doesn't get as much work as some of the others, but I know like she's right now the witch. Um, can't remember her name her character's name off the top of my head, but from My Hero Academia, she's the witch lady. Um, I remember as well. I think she also voiced. I think she voiced the role of Edward's mom in Full Metal Alchemist. Um, Again, no, I don't think so. Jill Harris. We have two people in here now. Jill Harris seems okay. I know she does Noelle and Black Clover. You know, I think a lot of the Void Ranger. I think a lot of the problem people have with some of these people. Well, not with Lydia or Jill per se, because as far as anybody knows, they hadn't said anything. But I think what a lot of people have issues with Funimation about is one, how they sometimes run their company, and two, some of the people up top and what they did to Vic. So no, Vanessa from I knew Vanessa, who happens to be the one from the Witch Forest. I just couldn't remember her name off the top, her character's name off the top of my head. Void Ranger. Hey, hi, Mike. human being here. Hey, Woody. Yeah, what happened to you last night? You took off on me a little early, didn't you? You ended up missing this day in each history. You kind of left me a little early there, didn't you? As always, guys, of course, I do appreciate any and all likes. Helps with the algorithm, helps get more people in here. So I conked out last night after a few beers. Oh, okay, I see. Yeah, well, at least I got through the first story. Yeah, basically, it seemed like everybody was just taking the night off early because by the end of the stream, I was the only one here. I just figured I'd just go through anyways because I know that since I keep my streams up for the most part, if you guys ever want to go back and look over the material I covered, you can always do that if if for whatever reason you step out early or whatever. So yeah, it looks like we have 3 people in here right now, so that's good. 7 minute mark here. So let's see, give it one more minute here, and then I'll kind of go over what's on tap for tonight. Yeah, because I know Leto also kind of cut out early too. Cause I know he said that he was doing too well, and I don't think Toys or Backgoat came in at all last night. I know Backgoat didn't. I don't remember if Toys actually made it. But I know Toys has also got a new job. Adam MacArthur stars in JJ. Well, I haven't seen. If you're talking about Jujutsu Kaisen, I haven't actually watched that yet. Maybe a while before I actually get around to it. Void Ranger. So, all right, we're at the 8 minute mark now. We got 3 people in here. So here's what's on tap tonight. I got 8 stories tonight. One from Bounding into Comics. The other 7 will be on CBR. Among them include headlining again, of course, the whole Masters of the Universe Revelations stuff going on with Kevin Smith, all that. Also, the Walking Dead creator, Robert Kirkman, has confirmed that there are no plans for any comic adaptations for Fear the Walking Dead or what was the other one? World Beyond. Tyler Bates talks about coming up with a concept album for DC's death metal event from last year. And then, basically we have 8, as I said, we have 8 stories, 1 from television, 2 from comic scene, and the other 5 are from anime, including, of course, talking about the Satoshi Kon, the Satoshi Kon tribute. Crunchyroll has, I think, hit a subscription milestone. Let me see. What else? I should probably go over and take a quick peek to remind myself of the other steps, since I'm having a little trouble remembering it off the top of my head. So on the anime side of it, as I said, we had 5 stories. The last story will be talking about the Satoshi Kon. Crunchyroll hits a subscription 5 million, surpasses 5 million subscribers. The Iron Man anime is now streaming on YouTube. We'll talk about that. Um, Kamen Rider drops a teaser image for its upcoming Fudo Pi anime, and Detective Conan spinoff is getting an anime adaptation. So that's all that's on tap for tonight. As always, guys, of course, I do appreciate any and all likes and shares. Hopefully, we can get more of the more the algorithm up, more of the word out to where to where people we can get more people in here. Um, so let me see now. Let me see. There have been a couple of at least. Let's see now. Your Lie in April has a dump. Well, I actually Void Ranger. I actually like the music from Your Lie in April. Was it a good story? Music was pretty good too. Um, I like the opening, but to each his own. And WEF is it Void? Okay. All right. Well, anyways, we're past the 11-minute mark, so I've kind of gone over what's on tap for. Well, excuse me a moment. I got to go off camera here real quick. I'll be right back. Yeah. Well, I hope everybody had a good day today. Woody, I hope you're still here. I hope you didn't conk out on me again already. Let me try something here. All right. All right. So let's see now. All right. So let's see. Defunimation need to be stopped, or else they'll be out of. Wait. Defunimation needs to be stopped, or else they'll be out of. All right. Now, what's that supposed to mean, Grifter Boy? Because they should be stopped. Hopefully, if you're saying that, so the other companies don't get put out of business like Sentai and all that. If that's what you're talking about, but I'm out of beer tonight. Okay, you hate Philadelphia or Boston? Well, Philadelphia and Boston don't have any dub studios. The dub studios that are here in the States are in Dallas, Houston, LA, and New York. Um, there aren't really any, and I know there was one in like Carolina a few years ago as well that did like among the animes that one of the ones out of Carolina did was Virtua Fighter. And yeah, you're right. There are a couple in Canada as well. Ocean Studios and then its subsidiary Blue Water. Albeit I don't think Blue Water's done a lot of work lately. I ate a lot of mushroom steak sandwiches in Boston. Great memories. Okay. Tama Dubsa. Well, Gintama dub was dubbed, I think, up in Canada. So Miami dub. Hmm. Well, I hadn't heard of anything with Miami dub either, but anyways, let's get to the articles now. You know, um, Grifter Boy and Void Range. Let me just let you guys know that we will be having an open mic night on Monday, September the 5th. Um, that'll be Labor Day here in the States. So you guys are more than welcome, of course, when we do that to come in and we can talk about this stuff as well. So, anyways, without any further ado, let me go ahead. And of course, as always, guys, I do appreciate any and all likes and shares. That helps with the algorithm, helps get more people in here. So, without any further ado, though, let's go ahead and get going um, on on the stories at hand here. So the first one this will be the lone story from from Bounding into Comics. This one revolves around the master. I know a lot of people have been talking about this lately because a lot of people, there's old bait and switch going on apparently with this, where this series was promised to focus on He-Man, and instead it's focusing on the women. In fact, let's get into this a bit here. And I know Yellow Flashes talks a lot about this as well. And apparently, I guess they must have got copyright strike for the image or something like that. So, anyways, Kevin Smith reveals second half of Masters of the Universe Revelation, quote unquote, shifts into an Evelyn story. Written by Spencer Bakuli, published yesterday. So here we go. Masters of the Universe Revelation showrunner Kevin Smith has revealed that following a first half centered around Teela's quest to retrieve the two halves of the broken power sword, the second part of his recently released Netflix revival, the popular 80s franchise, quote unquote, shifts into an Evelyn story, unquote. Now, of course, for those of you who remember the original Filmation version, the 80s version, the two halves of the power sword, one had the jewel in it that gave She-Ra her powers, and then the other was for Prince Adam. But of course, they're doing something totally different with it here. I know there's been a lot of talk because, again, they were trying to bait everybody in by saying it was going to focus on He-Man and that this was something for those who grew up on He-Man, and it's apparently not. So I know even the quartering has talked a little bit about this too. So Source, Master of the Universe, Revelation Season 1, Episode 3, The Most Dangerous Man in Eternia. Okay. So Smith teased at Evelyn's expanded role during a recent Netflix-hosted Q&A session in response to being asked, quote, is Evelyn actually evil? Unquote. Asserting that Evelyn, in brackets, is absolutely one of my favorite characters, not just because Lena Headey gives what I feel is like an award-worthy performance, bringing this character to life, but also because we mirror Teela's journey with Evelyn's journey as well, unquote. Now I know Todd did a video on this earlier too. And one of the things I actually commented on in his video was, at the rate they're going, I wouldn't be surprised if they ended up having Teela, Evelyn, and Andrea, who who I know Yellow Flash and a few others have been saying possibly going to be the new quote unquote He-Man of the series. But I was basically, as a joke, I was basically saying that wouldn't surprise me if these three characters ended up in a menage a trois. So, and yes, guys, I did say that a menage a trois. For those of you who don't know what that term means, it's French for three-way. So, let's see now. Allison Victorin, a bad person. She hates Vic. I hadn't actually seen anything in regards to her saying anything about the whole Vic situation. I wouldn't, I had no reason to go looking at her. She hadn't, as far as I know, she had, I mean, again, Grifter boy, what would be your source there? How do you know that she hates Vic? Do you know of where she actually said that either she hates Vic or said that she supports the people who are trying to because as far as I know, like just because if they don't say anything in support of Vic, unless they actually come out and say something against him, don't assume that just because they don't say anything in support of him means that they're against him. Okay? There are a lot of people at Funimation who just don't want to get in the middle of it because they might get blackballed. I actually asked this question when about a month or so ago when Nick had Vic on for an interview, and I asked him, aside from the people that we know of that have basically either those who are directly involved or those who have been his most vocal detractors, how was his relationship overall with the VAs at not just Funimation but LA and the rest, and he kind of indicated that a lot of them behind the scenes have told him privately that they are kind of on his side. It's just that they can't say anything. Openly because they might lose. They might start getting quote unquote canceled. So you have to. So just because they're not saying anything in support of him, don't automatically assume that they're against him. I'd say unless they've come out and outright said something against Vic, don't assume that they're against him. Or they haven't, just because if they have, as I said, if they haven't said anything in support of him, don't automatically assume they're against him. That's you watch Unit 522 Demon Horror Stories? No, I haven't even heard of that before. Hey, all, just got in. Got a water plant. I'll be listening. Hey, Batgoat, how you doing, man? We missed you last night. Anyways, as I get back into the article here, and I thank you for the like and share. As always, guys, I do appreciate those. Those help get more people in here. But why is it only saying that I've got one person in here now? I know, it looks like we have more like it's more like 4 or 5 actually. All right. Well, anyways, getting back. Let me take care of something here first, and getting back to the article here from Bounding into Comics. Quote: "You're talking about two women who have been in the shadows of very powerful male characters since the inception of the franchise." unquote. Yeah, considering that the franchise goes back to the 1980s, ding dong. Smith continued, quote, and Tila, fought side by side with He-Man, definitely, in brackets, like more of his equal. Evil Lyn, though, was always Skeletor's subservient. Unquote. Now, I'm going to make a point here. All of Skeletor's minions were his subservient. It wasn't just Evil Lyn. And if they're trying to, and I know they're trying to turn this into a woman thing, but anybody who remembers the 80s cartoon knows that the person who got the worst of Skeletor's abuse was actually Beastman. It wasn't Evil Lyn. Beastman was the one who got the worst of Skeletor's, but yet these SJWs, of course, don't really like talking about that aspect of it. Beastman was basically Skeletor's lapdog. Master of the Universe Revelation Season 1, Episode 1, The Power of Grayskull. To that end, Smith hypothetically asked fans, quote, what happens if those two figures are removed from their lives? Who do they get to be? Unquote. Well, in the original series, okay, Tila was destined to become the sorceress. Okay, so things, Evil Lyn could have still been eaten, because if you remember from the 80s series, Evil Lyn was just as ambitious as Skeletor. She may not have been quite as powerful as Skeletor, but she was just as ambitious. And much like Starscream and Megatron's relationship in Transformers, Evil Lyn was always plotting to try to take over the leadership of the evil horde there, or their evil minions. So, anyways, I'm gonna turn on my light here. So I'll be right back, guys. All right, then I see there a couple of comments came in. You dealt with rude customers before. Well, I don't know who you're addressing that to, Grifter Boy, but a long time ago I had to. Now it's still working. Anyways, hi back go from Woody there. Anyways, back to the story here. Quote, as we see in these first 5 episodes, there's goodness in Evil Lyn, as Orko points out, unquote. Yeah, and when I commented on Tug's video when he did a video on this earlier today, where I basically commented that I would not be surprised if Tila, Andrea, and Evil Lyn renamed Good Lyn ended up in a menage a trois. Somebody else had mentioned too that I guess Robot Chicken had predicted this years ago that Evil Lyn would become Good Lyn. So, anyways, the showrunner added, quote, but in the next 5 episodes, kids, it shifts into an Evil Lyn storyline that is so compelling, absolutely fascinating, satisfying, heartbreaking, unquote. Yeah, and I know that there's been a lot of people mentioning that they're surprised that Kevin Smith didn't start crying on it. I mean, he sounds like a total white knight, white knight, um, total crybaby white knighter with this. And again, and I know Yellow Flash really picked up on this, where they were promising this would be about He-Man, and He-Man's not even in. Now they're shifting the story to Evil Lynn. You know, so this is more about pushing the woke agenda than really satisfying anime fans. Like, from everything, according to like Flash's coverage and a lot of other people's too, this series has been getting review bombed like crazy, and I don't blame people for being upset. You know, and Mattel may not be happy if the toy sales keep going down as well. In conclusion to his tease of Evil Lynn's upcoming prominence, Smith declared that the sorceress story had become his, quote, favorite part of Masters of the Universe revelation, unquote. Again, I almost have to kind of wonder what Paul Dini's got to be, because I think he's still around. I wonder what he's got to be saying about all this, because Paul Dini was one of the guys who was originally a writer he was like writer and director for the original series. Wonder what he feels about all this. I know Paul Dini was a definite Masters of the Universe fan. He was a writer on the original show back in the 80s. I'd love to hear what he has to say on this. As of writing, it is unknown how and to what extent He-Man himself will factor into the more Evil Lynn-focused second half of Masters of the Universe Revelation. What do you make of Smith's tease that the series' second half will center more on Evil Lynn? Let us know your thought. Well, I mean, he's basically intentionally crashing a franchise to push an agenda. He's intentionally crashing a franchise to push an agenda. That's what I think. So, and it is gonna bite him in the rear end. So, and Batgoat says, "Hey Woody," and Batgoat here says, "Kevin Smith is a fake geek. How low and disgusting. I remember the 80s way better than that crybaby. And I smoke way more 420 than him, allegedly." Yeah. Well, I mean, I remember the 80s I remember Batgo. You weren't the only one who grew up on that 80s cartoon. And I've said this before, too. I kind of wonder. I would love to hear what Paul Dini has to say about all this, because I know he was one of the main writers for the show back in the 80s. Yeah. Yeah, Susan. I don't know. Somebody at YouTube's playing with the viewer count here, because I think there's more like 4 or 5 people in here, but it keeps saying that we've only got 1 or 2 people in here. So I do appreciate the likes and the shares, guys. That does help with the algorithm. All right. So, anyways, now that that's done, we're going to go ahead and move on to the next set of stories here. Got a couple. As I said, we have a grand total of 8 stories tonight. 1 from Bounding Into Comics, 7 from CBR. We got, of course, We just did the Master of the Universe one, which would fall under like cartoons, classic cartoons, 2 comic related stories, and the other 5 will be anime related. Let's see. Yeah. Okay, then. So, anyways, let's get to this next story. The Walking Dead creator shoots down fear, world beyond comic possibilities. Robert Kirkman confirms that no comic book adaptations of The Walking Dead World Beyond or Fear the Walking Dead are planned for development. Article by Larry Swanson, published 23 hours ago. There will be no comic adaptations of The Walking Dead World Beyond or Fear the Walking Dead, according to writer and franchise co-creator Robert Kirkman. Kirkman denied having any interest in converting either TV show back into the comic book medium, from whence the story for AMC's The Walking Dead came from. He made his opinion known in the letter column of The Walking Dead Deluxe number 19 as a reply to a question about putting a quote unquote new twist on the stories. When asked for his thoughts about the idea of using elements from the 2 spin-offs to craft a new comic book, Kirkman responded, quote, "It doesn't interest me, honestly," unquote. With both Fear the Walking Dead and The Walking Dead World Beyond having recently announced plans for the next seasons, the widely popular characters of the Dead universe are finding continued life in a number of future adaptations. Despite ongoing delays to their productions arising from coronavirus, COVID-19, a movie centering on Rick Grimes is in the works, as well as another TV spinoff that would focus on Carol and Daryl. During this year's Comic-Con at home, Kirkman affirmed that plenty of developments are happening behind the scenes. Quote, plenty of developments are happening behind the scenes, unquote, on the feature film, in spite of how slowly pre-production is moving. Quote, and so everybody behind the scenes is making sure that when this comes out, it is worth the wait. And it is actually the special character building Rick Grimes journey that everybody wants it to be, unquote, Kirkman said. Season 7 of Fear the Walking Dead premieres Sunday, October 17th on AMC. Those who subscribe to AMC Plus, however, can catch the premiere several days early. A premiere date for Season 2 of The Walking Dead World Beyond has not been set. So, this is basically, that's the end of that article. Here's the next article we'll do. Before I get started on that, let's check the time and check See what else is going on. Hey, let's see. Oh, Leto's here. Oh, Drexel's here. Hey, Drexel. Hey, man. I'm glad you came in. Let's see what's been going on here since I last said something here. Drexel Lourdes, in a way, I kind of feel a bit bad for him because it's more than just him that's on the project, and he's taking the full brunt of everything, despite being the puppet with a hand up his, you know what? Oh, if you're talking about Kevin Smith there, Drexel, yeah, I guess you got a good point there. Flash and Tug might actually agree with you on that one. Even I think even the quartering might, but you do make a very good point there. I think he's just trying to parrot something so that he could be in the quote unquote cool kids club. Hey, thank you for dropping in. As always, of course, I do appreciate any and all likes and shares. That helps with the algorithm. Helps get more people in. So if you can help me with that, that'd be appreciated as well. Let's see what else is being said here. I get what. Okay, so Batgoat, I get what you're saying, and I agree. He totally is bringing good people down with him. All right. Hey, Mike. Hey, Leto. I guess you took off on me a little early last night, huh? I know you said you weren't feeling well. I hope you're feeling better today. We just went through the Masters of the Universe story a few minutes ago. How goes it, buddy? Hope you're doing it. Yeah, I was just a little shocked and surprised when I ended up being the only one left here last night at the end of my own stream. But it kind of started out good with 6 people in, and then I ended up being the only one left after a while. So that was kind of... And Batgoat says hi to Leto. Hey, Batgoat. Nice to see you, my friend. Let's see. I'm going to be outside and night putt. Again, still listening. All right. Let's see now. It's not the real Drex, Mike. Oh, it isn't? Well, I knew he was a sub to me, so that's a little disappointing. I'm one of your lurkers, by the way. Laugh out loud. Okay. He's a guy on Nick's stream with us all the time. Okay. I thought it was the real Drexel because I thought he went by that name too. Drexel, Lord of Simpson Cucks. Oh, neat. Which, by the way, cool to see you here. Thank you. Well, Drexel, Lord of Simpson Cucks, thank you for being here. Thank you for being here. I do appreciate you being here, of course. Hope you enjoy the content. Still under the weather, my friend. Well, hopefully you'll just get some rest and you'll be fine sooner rather than later. It's harder and harder to stay up these days. Yeah, I understand. I know it's 2 hours ahead, so it's like for you, it's like 7:44 here where I'm at. So I know it's about 9:45 where you're at. I get that. No, I'm not the real Drex. Sorry. Yeah. Well, still, I'm glad you're here, though. Thank you for joining us. I hope you enjoyed the content. Just let Mike believe. Not on my back. It's okay. I mean, I can handle the realism. You guys know that. Anyways, let's get on to this next story here. Hopefully, you guys will continue to enjoy the content here as I keep going here. Tyler Bates discusses crafting a concept album for DC's Dark Knight's Dark Metal, or Dark Knight's Death Metal. I believe what they're talking about here, I guess he had a concept album he was doing for the comics project last year of Dark Knight, or a couple years ago, Dark Knight's Death Metal, that came out a couple years ago. Prolific producer and composer Tyler Bates unveils the secrets of the sonic metalverse in his concept record inspired by Dark Knight's Death Metal. Article by Sam Stone, published 8 hours ago. So here we go. One of the biggest crossover events in DC history was Dark Knight's Death Metal. Created by Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo, the wild event concluded at the beginning of the year, set the stage for the DC Multiverse's Infinite Frontier era. Inspired by its epic stakes and heavy metal premise, prolific composer and producer Tyler Bates helmed the creation of a concept album based in its world. Bates gathered an impressive lineup of musicians to forge the sonic metalverse in Dark Knight's Death Metal soundtrack, featuring rock stars like Mastodon and Starcrawler on a gorgeous vinyl pressing with a special edition available to order now. In an exclusive interview with CBR, Bates discussed the wide range of artists appearing on Dark Knight's Death Metal soundtrack, shared the immense creative freedom he experienced in making the album, and reflected on some of his more notable film scores of the past decade. Also included in this interview are variant album covers spotlighting several artists. How Dark Knight's Death Metal soundtrack started out. So here's from the comic right here, Dark Knight's Death Metal. There's that cover. Snyder, Capullo, Clapion, Placencia. So CBR asks, Tyler, how did the opportunity to come up with a concept soundtrack album for Dark Knight's Death Metal come about? Tyler Bates, in 2018, Dark Knight's Metal by Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo was released, and we discussed doing a soundtrack and the infrastructure to do the project and bring it to full fruition. That infrastructure was not in place. I wrote some songs with friends and artists for it, but I never fully manifested. But it never fully manifested. So, with some lead time, Matt Keller at DC discussed the project with me. He was a terrific guy with a tremendous knowledge of comics, and I thought it would be great to really dive deep into it. We discussed the project, and he gave me free reign to do what I wanted. And we knew this time around that it would be good to have a label partner that I knew would be very committed to the project. I talked to Loma Vista, and by the time they came on, I already discussed collaborations in general with artists like Chelsea Wolfe, Starcrawler, Gunship, Greg Puciato, and Gil Sharon. We were planning on doing some sort of post-punk project anyways, so when this project started to come together, everyone was game to create music that was inspired directly by the comic series. It wasn't songs that were proposed for a soundtrack album with artwork. It was all material that was written and created that was inspired by Greg and Scott's work. Once Loma Vista and I got into conversation, there were artists that we mutually admired and some that are on their label that I'm friends with and I admire as artists, which made it an obvious jumping off point to conceptualize the entirety of the record. Once COVID hit, um, I'm used to working at a pretty intense clip. So I had to make more work for myself and decide to create the Sonic Metalverse. Fortunately, Scott, Greg, and DC trusted me enough to give me full access to the artwork and purpose it in whatever fashion I thought would be cool as a companion piece to the soundtrack album itself. Really, it was just a vehicle to authenticate the soundtrack and to draw all the artists who were performing on the album into a medium where even if they've never met, they'll have this collaborative, concentric point where their voices and talent all met. It was totally DIY, do it yourself. The whole thing is made with duct tape, but it was fun. And it was something that we wanted to make for fans because we're fans ourselves. So it sounds like a good project that they're doing. Sounds like they got a good idea of what they want to do with it. So putting music to comics like that. So let's see how the conversation is going with you guys. So I last left you. Okay, I'm gonna go quote unquote bang chains in the backyard. Okay. Who is informing people to come check out Mike? Laugh out loud, I'm worried. Oh, by the way, I set the alarm so I wouldn't miss Nick's stream. Y'all going to be checking it out. The interview should be interesting one. I'll be right back, guys. I gotta go check on my dog. My dog's barking again. Probably bugging the neighbor. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. Anyways, yeah, the counter as usual is a bit screwy. It would seem. Anyways, let's get back to this. I should probably make sure that I'm back on here. Yep, I'm back on there. Okay. Alrighty then. So, Everybody on Dark Knight's death metal soundtrack is a fan of the source material and comics in general. Um, there's the extreme with Andy Biersack and Denzel Curry. I don't think you could be a greater comic fan than those two guys. But everyone is really intrigued by the material and very inspired by it. That was the jumping off point. And once we realized we were going to have 15 artists on the soundtrack, I gave each of the artists digital copies of a comic to reference for inspiration. I made a concerted effort to give the more disparate artists like Mastodon and Soccer Mommy. So there's a band out there called Soccer Mommy, I guess based on the suburban idea of the soccer mom, right? The same issue, and I was the same issue, and I was curious to see how the same source material inspired what I anticipated would be very different songs, and sure enough, that is how it turned out. I think it was really interesting to explore that wide range of musical styles and genres. I think it was really cool, and the artists put their hearts into it. It was done out of a passion. It certainly wasn't done out of commerce. Laughs. In other words, what he's saying there is they had more of a passion for it. They don't. They're going to claim here they don't care quite as much about whether or not they make any money off of this. It was purely a project of quote unquote love. Everyone came on board because they wanted to do it, and thankfully the artists trusted me, whether I was performing on their song or supervising the arrangement. Whatever it would be, it was great. Everyone came together behind a singular vision for this record, and they all understood my goal. And it was truly a creative one to create something that was authentically inspired by the material the fans are into. That was really a point. We're all fans. I really didn't want to be some corporate widget or watered down BS. I wanted it to come from the heart. No one was obligated in doing it begrudgingly. Everyone was authentically enthusiastic about it. Authentically enthusiastic. That's a very interesting way of saying it. All right, nothing new as of yet. All right, so why Mastodon's forged by quote unquote forged by Neuron became the first track. CBR asking, you mentioned Mastodon and Soccer Mommy. In sequencing the record, what made Mastodon the perfect band to kick off the record and Soccer Mommy perfect to close it out? As far as Soccer Mommy closing out the record, I just think, quote, kissing in the rain, unquote, kind of felt like the last scene of a movie, whereas Mastodon's quote unquote forged by Neuron is just pure fire. Kissing in the rain, that almost sounds like a potential potential ballad right there. That'd be interesting to hear. For us to jump in the middle of the DC universe, we weren't coming at it from an origin to the present day. We were just jumping into the middle of it. I thought that, quote unquote, forged by Neuron was an energetic, great leaping off point. We wanted to keep the record very dynamic throughout, So it flows from there. The key was the movie Heavy Metal from the 80s. The movie really stuck with me when I saw it. When I saw it as a kid, there isn't a lot of metal music in that movie, um, but that's what makes it interesting. That it is a really diverse trip visually and sonically. I thought that movie was really amazing and saw it in the theaters 3 times and had left an indelible impression on me. That inspired my approach of how I wanted this record to feel and to create the sonic metalverse and the motion comic, the companion to this record. So they're really they're really going full media there. Huh? It was a vehicle to authenticate this so fans could see that not only was this endorsed by Scott and Gray, their participation, but as the artist on the record, everyone was very excited to voice a DC character. No matter what artist I might be listening to in my personal life, I'll either dig deep into one record by an artist, or if it's a compilation record, to hear some variety in the style of music. Um, I don't want to say that we made this like a playlist because it's really not like a playlist. Um, a list would most likely be less diverse. Um, we just wanted to keep it interesting. We didn't need to hit the nail on the head over and over again. Right. I go off for a minute or so I'm right back. Um, I go take care of my throat a bit here. I'll be right back. Just needed to go get some water, guys. So that's where I went. So let's see. Let's see what you guys have been saying. It looks like guys came in with a few things to say here. Let's see. I think they had in the Manson song "Wonder" if they were enough to take it off as soon as he was getting canceled. Had to come middle, or had to come inside to grab fly. My quote unquote Marshall putter is dark gray and likes to hide in the grass at night. Leave alone. Wait, one more thing. Gonna grab the big red stripe beer I've got in the fridge. Bleach bug spray tastes bad. uh, You're breaking up, Mike. That was weird. It was filming up. He appeared. He opened the door. That's so laggy. Closed camera button lagged. Bat goat drinks red stripe beer. Oh God, why? Well, hopefully I'm back better now, Leto. I wasn't even. I had to maybe it seemed like I was breaking up a bit because my throat was irritating me a little bit. So I had to actually go. That's why I actually went off camera for a moment to go get some water. Anyways, let's see what. Oh, okay, we saw that. Nope, still breaking up, but not as bad. Oh, I hope it's okay. Well, I don't see anything here from StreamYard telling me that like I'm not getting the signal icon, so should hopefully be okay by this point. Any better? Past the hour mark here. Better than what it was. Okay. Well, all right. Well, I'm going to continue with the article then. Keep me apprised. I love the variety of styles here. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. CBR asking. I love the variety of styles, especially when the sound veers into symphonic metal. It reminds me of the classic styles in John Wick 2. Um, how was it leading into those disabilities? And what is the appeal of clashing different styles to you? Carrick and Grin, they are very much about that. So it was fun to bring them into the project. And they were very great in allowing us to license so much of their music. As he laughs in brackets. That concept, I don't think, is very executed. I don't think that concept. I don't think is executed very well usually. But what we wanted to do was really create a sonic movie with this. For instance, the song "Anti" that I did with health wipes around genre rock wise, and it does have its very cinematic moment. Same with the song that I did with Maria Brink and Andy Biersack, quote, "Meet Me in the Fire," unquote, that also has that. We just wanted to have the listener, if they bought the vinyl and are checking out the artwork while they're listening to the music, stoke their imagination and think like they're listening to a movie instead of just straight up banging up songs with artists whose legend is so big you almost can't get past the artist enough to just listen to the music in the context of this mosaic of artists. When you see a famous actor play a unique character role, it's kind of hard not to see it. We wanted to have artists that are really great and talented, and some of them recognizable, but not to have their statements be better than the overall of the record. We wanted this experience to be transcendent to fans. For me, it was selecting artists that contributed to this whole listening experience that feels like a real movie soundtrack and not just a collection of songs. Uh, kind of a little longer than I thought. Didn't even realize it was an interview at first. So, see, just don't worry about it. It's watchable. Okay. Yeah, I figured as much. Yeah, you're a bit robo tonight. Just keep going. We'll deal with it. No problem. And yes, um, Red Stripe, I dig it. Oh, I like the cute little battles. That's about it. Uh, anyway, back to putting. Now I have the icon that says unstable. It's not letting me. It says so unstable. It's not even. Oh, finally. Back go. Have you been losing weight? I imagine so, because you're really into that game at the moment. All right. Yeah, it's tonight. Yeah. Well, now I'm seeing. Yeah, now I'm seeing the. Well, that's saying now the getting the signal icon here. Now it just went away again. So, YouTube has server. So it's on YouTube side. It's on YouTube side tonight. Try to get through this. I think today. Okay. All right. Well, anyways, let's get back to the article here. How Slayer's Dave Lombardo got involved with Dark Knight's death metal soundtrack and the Sonic Metalverse. Question. In addition to producing this, you're also performing on some tracks, including with Dave Lombardo of Slayer fame. What did you want to lend? What did you want to lend creatively to the songs you perform on? Um, let's see. Tyler's answer here. The timing of things was really interesting. Gunship had reached out to me right as this project was coming together, and they wanted to do a collab. We were talking on a Zoom, and I'm friends with their manager now because we had become pretty good friends through this whole experience. Because he's here local to me, we were talking about doing a song together, and Dan Hay kept referencing Dave Lombardo, and Dave happens to be a close friend of mine. And I said, "quote Why don't we just have Dave play on it?" Unquote. And his eyes nearly rolled out of its sockets. Dave and I go back a long way after a friend introduced us, and he played on my score for Dawn of the Dead back in 2003. I talked to Dave and called those guys 15 minutes later to let them know Dave was down. So we did that, and Dave and I played together. And we also played on a new Gunship song that's coming, and it was awesome and totally outside of the wheelhouse of what Dave does normally. In brackets, laughs. But he's such a positive and curious person that he's for any challenge, and it's just fun to engage in creative endeavors with my friends. I have a very unorthodox type of life where it's just led me to so many situations to become friends with potent artists that I'm a fan of as well. I was listening to Hell Awaits when I was a kid, and I remember quote unquote Kill Again was the first Slayer song I ever listened to before Rain and Blood and South of Heaven. Life is very weird. I don't even know how all this stuff happened. Bracket laughs again. Dave's a bro and salt of the earth human being. And I asked him if he would play on the Sonic Metal verse. He was like, quote unquote, hell yeah! Dark Knight's death metal soundtrack was a good project for people to release some of their stress and anxiety over COVID. And it was just an escape for all of us. And it's very much what comics provide most people, an escape from their reality. Though they seem to be more realistic than ever these days. So I think these guys are a little bit critical of what's going on. It sounds like these guys, I get the impression, are not woke. I think the whole thing is really fascinating, and I'm really grateful. And through this project, I've been able to forge relationships with artists I did not know prior to it, but I really admire, like Chelsea Wolfe. She and I are now working on a film score together, and that was great. Starcrawler and I just finished their new record. I'm very excited for them, and they're just excellent people and very authentic, committed, and passionate artists. Gunship, it was fantastic working with them. Just everybody, it's been a very positive experience overall, and it's exciting to see how each artist has supported their work on the record with great enthusiasm, and so far, the record is shipping very well. And I hope people continue to share their interest and buy the vinyl. It's very rare that an album comes packaged with that much detail. It's cool. Let's see now. Let's see. But for you, I think I could be, but for you, I think it could be your end as well. Laugh out loud. At the Void Ranger, you think Ocean Productions or Funimation has security? They might. Um, since I've never actually been to either of those companies, can tell you the Void Ranger. Never actually tried to go to either one of those companies for anything, so couldn't really tell you. And then Grifter Boy here, let's see what he. Vic Mignogna reveal needs to go to Belarus. Um, okay, wow, we're coming up on an hour 21 here. This interview took longer to read through, and I'm not even through with it yet. There are 5 anime stories, but I think I'll be able to get through those pretty quickly once I get to that point. Tyler Bates breaks down his time on Rob Zombie's Halloween. Whoa, look at that. Um, so question. As a huge Halloween fan, I have to ask how it was working on the 2 Rob Zombie Halloween films. That's a score where you hear it and you immediately know what franchise it is. And Tyler's answer here. That was one of them that really struck me because I got into other projects not really knowing so much about the original, like Dawn of the Dead or 300. I didn't even know what 300 was. The director showed me the graphic novel, and we worked on a pitch for a year and a half before it was made. Rob called me to do The Devil's Reject, and that was a great starter for us because the score, that score is pretty dark and distressed. We got to know each other really well through that. I had known Rob a little bit over the years. Um, before that, but that was our first jump together into the deep end of the pool, and I still think The Devil's Rejects is one of my favorite scores. And just to let you guys know, I'm just gonna be trying to blast through this because I know we're already past the hour 20 mark. We're already coming close on hour 30, so I'm gonna be blasting through these. So, um, Rob called me one day and said, "quote What do you think about a remake of Halloween?" unquote. And of course, my initial response was, "quote unquote, hell yeah." Um, that's before I really thought it through. Brackets laughs. But the interesting thing about that one is the first thing we did is Rob was preparing a pitch, so he asked if I would remake the theme. I did, and it was really dark and distressed beyond the original one, and I gave it to him, and he called me right after his pitch meeting while I was driving down the 101 and said, quote, I just had the best meeting of my life. I literally walked into the Weinstein Company with my boombox, and we were about to start the meeting, and I said, in smaller quotes, we reworked the Halloween theme, smaller quote ended, and they all smirked at me. I just pressed play, and within 25 seconds, they just smiled and said, yes, unquote. Laughs. That was great, but once we got into making the movie and working with the shape and all of that, even though Tyler Maine is a much different version of Michael Myers, Tyler Maine, of course, is an actor who also did some time as a professional wrestler as well, just to let you guys know. There's a certain discipline that is required to make that music work for the movie. John Carpenter created such a perfect concept and execution of that idea that it's impossible to improve on it. I think it's the ultimate B movie horror score. It's just brilliant in the way that it works, and when you try to alter or affect it too much, it just doesn't service the movie very well. The first one was definitely a learning experience because the picture was just rejecting my augmentations of the original concept. I think Rob felt that too. And that's why the second Halloween was much more of a diversion from the original Halloween series. He just figured for us to do our own thing. But we were really thrilled to do that and excited that the movie opened as a number one. It's dawning once you get into these things. When I did Watchmen, someone gave me the Watchmen graphic novel, and I looked at it and closed it after a couple of pages because I didn't even want to get psyched out by how intense it is. Brackets laugh. The expectations of fans are just going to be impossible to satisfy. So I just get into these projects and try to do the best I can to support the material and express interesting ideas wherever there's room to do so. If you get too caught up in the material and fans, it's so polarizing, and I don't personally, I think, can do very effective work with that on my mind. I familiarize myself with the material enough to really understand the context, but I just can't go too deep with the fan base and legend that comes with it. Tyler Bates teases a new sound for Wonder Woman. Question from CBR. With that in mind, while you've done superhero work before with Deadpool 2 and Guardians of the Galaxy, how liberating was this project creatively, going off inspiration from Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo's work? Tyler's answer: it was fantastic. Those guys are masters of their craft. They are the Metallica of comics. Laughs again. To have their support, trust, and enthusiasm was incredible. To work with guys of that caliber and be given the trust and respect to do what I think is cool was absolutely liberating. There were no focus groups. There were no A&R notes. Nothing. It was literally whatever artist I wanted to work with and whatever character they wanted to voice with their interpretation. That was refreshing. When DC heard Chelsea Wolfe voice Wonder Woman, her interpretation of Wonder Woman was so different than any they had before. Wolfe's was that of a Wonder Woman that had seen every horrible thing from humanity, yet she still holds out hope for the greater good. It was fun to have David Hasselhoff, a good friend of mine, voice Superman, and to see how excited the people at DC that David was doing that. Now, David Hasselhoff, in his own right, has done some. He's been a musician. Everybody probably remembers him from Knight Rider or Baywatch. But aside from his acting work, he's done some musical work as well. More along the independent lines. But anyway, this was literally all connected through friendship and inspired by that. And just to have DC Comics and the work of these two fantastic creators and the record company being Loma Vista and all the artists, it was just great. I can't express my gratitude enough to everybody that came to the table and gave 100% effort. Dark Knight's death metal soundtrack is executive produced by Tyler Bates, who also performs alongside several artists on the All-Star lineup. The special edition vinyl album is available to order through Loma Vista. So I'm guessing the article here is done. Yes, it is. So, man, it took a while. I didn't know if this is an interview. So let's see. We're at the hour. We're just shy of an hour 30, with the rest of them being let's see. That's a that's a odd question. Voice Void Ranger. Let's see. The worst Canadian voice actor is the worst Canadian voice actor is Jason Either. Okay, I don't get that. I don't. You hate South Carolina? Hey, it just sounds like it. The devil is a part-timer returns. I can hear in my head now. All I can hear now in my head is "Living Dead Girl," quote unquote. An account of last story. Just refilling my beer. Don't mind me. All right. So, anyways, yeah, the connection is going unstable again. It looks like. So, anyways, so we got all right. All right. So, anyways, so let's try to get on to the. Let's see. We're past the hour 30 mark here. I believe I can, because even though I got 5 stories to go through, they're all anime and they should be pretty quick. No interviews. The interview, like I've mentioned before, the bounding into comic stories tend to be longer. Usually, most TBR stories are pretty quick reads, but when you get an interview like this, it can be a bit of a one that takes a while. So now we're going to get into the anime stories here. About 5 of them, but I do believe we'll probably be able to get through them, hopefully. All right, so here we go. And I'm just going to try to blast through these so we can make sure we get through these. Detective Conan spinoff, Wild Police Story, gets anime adaptation. The fan favorite Detective Conan Police Academy arc, Wild Police Story prequel manga, is being adapted into an anime series. Article by Michael Asana, published 13 hours ago. There's some of the artwork there from that. The Detective Conan Police Academy arc, Wild Police Story spin-off manga, will reportedly be adapted into an anime series. According to Sugoi Light, a popular spin-off about undercover agent Rei Furuya will get its own TV anime series. Wild Police Story is a prequel that shows Furuya's formative years at a police academy before he crossed paths with Conan as the double agent Bourbon and was still honing his skills as a detective. The original manga was created by Takahiro Arai and ran for 13 chapters in 2020. Arai also did the Zero's Tea Time manga, which also features Furuya as its main character. Further details about the show, such as the cast and crew, what animation studio is producing it, and its release date, were not confirmed at this time. So here's the Twitter full color of all that. Let's see. The main case closed manga, also known as Detective Conan, was created by Gosho Aoyama, and was first published in 1994. The series tells the story of Shinichi Kudo, a young known in America, known to dub fans, English dub fans as Jimmy Kudo, a young prodigy detective who is kidnapped by a criminal syndicate and forced to ingest an experimental poison. Instead of killing him, the poison transforms him into a literal child. Kudo adopts the identity of Conan Edogawa, his first name being a reference to Sherlock Holmes author Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, and continues to help solve mysteries and thwart crimes committed by the nefarious black organization, despite everyone now assuming he is just a kid. Since its initial publication, Case Closed has become the fifth best-selling manga franchise of all time, with over 230 million copies in circulation worldwide. The manga was adapted into an anime series in 1986, which is still currently running with over 1,000 episodes produced. Now, granted, the dub wasn't as successful, only lasting, I think, up to 130 episodes or so. Didn't pick up as much steam here in the States as did over in Japan. It's kind of a shame because I've watched it and it's kind of cool. So, anyways, the manga has been localized into over 20 languages. Anime series has been broadcast in over 40 countries. The 24th latest movie in the franchise, Detective Conan: The Scarlet Bullet, was released in Japan in April 2021, so just a few months ago. The movie outperformed Evangelion 3.0 plus 1.0 thrice upon a time in its opening week and eventually grossed more than 95 million US dollars at the box office. In addition to the anime series, Case Closed has also been adapted into multiple video games and live-action TV series. Conan, arguably anime's most famous detective, matched wit against anime's most famous criminal, Lupin III, in a 2009 crossover movie. Case Closed manga is distributed and localized in English by Viz Media. The anime can currently be streamed through Crunchyroll. There we go. There we go with that one. So I said I'm going to be blasting through these because I know we're already at hour 37. Same that note laugh out loud. All right. I get what you were talking about now with the interview, Leto, because I guess they're interviewing Michael Long over about the Sophie case. All right, so here's the next story we're gonna do here. Kamen Rider drops teaser image for upcoming Futo Pi anime. Shotaro and Phillips' return is teased a new image from the upcoming anime sequel to the popular Kamen Rider Tokusatsu series. Article by Michael Cerna, published 12 hours ago. A new image has been released from the upcoming Kamen Rider W sequel anime Futo Pi. The new image features series protagonist Shotaro overlooking the ecologically friendly windmill-powered city of Futo, which is where the original live-action series also took place. The new anime series is being adapted from the Futo Pi manga, which was first serialized in 2017 and was by Riku Sanjo, illustrated by Masaki Sato. Sanjo was the head writer of the original Kamen Rider WTV series and also worked on Kamen Rider Drive and Kamen Rider Forze. The new anime series is being produced by Hideaki Sukada, who also worked on W and Forze. In a statement posted to the show's official website, Sukada said, "I was astonished at how well scriptwriter Riku Sanjo was able to design a manga that could be read with the same breathless excitement that was generated by watching the live action W drama. The anime is currently planned to be released sometime in 2022. There's a Twitter. Kamen Rider W debuted in 2009 and still remains one of the more beloved series within the greater Kamen Rider franchise. The series focuses on the self-proclaimed hard-boiled detective Shotaro Hidari, who teams up with a mysterious being known only as Philip to investigate the dangerous Gaia memory gadgets, which have the ability to transform criminals into monsters known as dopants. While the police are powerless to stop the dopants, Shotaro and Philip can each transform into one half of Kamen Rider Double, a powerful masked warrior who is the only one capable of stopping the new monster threat. Budo Pai isn't the only anime-related Kamen Rider project in the works. Hideaki Anno, the creator of Neon Genesis Evangelion, will follow up that series' final movie, Thrice Upon a Time, with his return to live-action directing in Shin Kamen Rider, a theatrical reboot of the original series. Prior to Kamen Rider, Anno directed 2017's critically lauded Shin Godzilla, and has stated that he hopes to create more live-action movies in the future. Budo Pai and Shin Kamen Rider are being produced as part of the 50th anniversary celebration of the 1971 premiere of the original Kamen Rider, which is available for streaming via Shout Factory's Tokushoutsu service. There we go with that one. There's the next one we're going to get into. Oh, he's interviewing the dad. Okay, I'll be there. It is a good song, though. Dope heads. Dope pants. Do these magical pants beat fixed? Flame pants? I couldn't tell you that one, Batgoat. I think they're called dope pants. So, anyways, on to the next article here. Iron Man anime now streaming on YouTube. Sony Pictures has made the first episode of Naruto and kaiju director Yuzo Sato's 2010 Iron Man anime available to watch for free online. Article by Michael Lacerna, published 10 hours ago. Sony Pictures has uploaded the first episode of the 2010 Iron Man anime onto one of its YouTube channels for free viewing. The episode is part of Sony's Throwback Tunes channel, which streams free episodes of classic cartoons from the media conglomerate's back catalog, including anime such as Astro Boy and American shows such The Critic and classic Jackie Chan Adventure Saturday morning cartoon. Marvel fans looking for more superhero action beyond Iron Man will also be happy to know that the channel also hosts several episodes of 2008 Spectacular Spider-Man TV series. The Iron Man anime is available with an English language track. Was originally released in 2010. Oh, here we go. The Iron Man anime was directed by anime industry veteran Yuzo Sato, who previously directed episodes of the critically acclaimed gambling anime Kaiji and the mega popular shonen hit Naruto, and has also worked as an animator and storyboard artist for several decades, contributing to shows such as Attack on Titan, Hunter x Hunter, Boogie Pop Phantom, and Pokemon. Sato's show was just one of a four-part series of shows in the Marvel Anime Project, which the comics giant co-produced alongside Japanese animation studio Madhouse, which is best known for producing series such as Trigun, Death Note, and Black Lagoon. The other three Marvel properties featured in the project were the X-Men, a solo Wolverine series, and Blade. The series was originally broadcast on the now defunct G4 cable TV network. The collaboration was successful enough to warrant Marvel commissioning two additional direct-to-video anime movies from Madhouse: Iron Man Rise of Tomorrow in 2013 and Avengers Confidential, Black Widow, and Punisher in 2015. All right, so we're through that one then. I said I'm just trying to blast through these. See how many more? I think got like two more. I'll get through them. Let's see where we're at on time here. Hour 46. So we might run a tad late here. So, but I'll try to get done quickly as possible, guys. See, Woody's saying, or perhaps they're breeding GMO insects and contain THC dopants. Okay, so anyways, another quick little news item here. Crunchyroll surpasses 5 million subscribers. Crunchyroll rides the streaming boom and the summer season of new anime shows to an all-time high of 5 million subscribers. Article by Michael Senna, published 8 hours ago. Crunchyroll has announced that it has achieved an all-time high of 5 million current subscribers, along with 120 million registered users in total. The popular streaming service announced the new subscriber milestone on its website. The company hit the 5 million subscriber milestone just 6 months after it announced that it had 4 million subscribers, showing that its rate of growth is actually speeding up over time. Crunchyroll celebrated the announcement with the following statement. The huge achievement is only possible because of the amazing community of anime fans backing us up. People tune in to watch anime on our site across 200 countries and territories all around the world. And it's an honor to be able to connect so many people to the stories and art they care about. Crunchyroll was founded in 2006 and originally streamed unlicensed fan-subbed content. The company began licensing anime series such as Naruto in 2008 and 2009, has since then only offered authorized legal streams of over 1,000 anime shows. In recent years, Crunchyroll began funding and producing its own original anime series, the latest, which will be Fina Pirate Princess, which will debut later this year. Crunchyroll also hosts its own anime convention, Crunchyroll Expo, which will be held virtually this year. Also, Fina Pirate Princess is actually making its Toonami debut on August the 14th. So, just to give you guys a heads up on that. That was recently announced. Popular Streamer was purchased by Warner Media and its parent company AT&T in 2018. 2020, Warner announced that it was selling the streaming company to Japanese tech giant Sony for a reported $1.1 billion US, though the deal still awaiting regulatory approval. Notably, Sony also owns Funimation, the anime licensing distribution company, also runs the biggest competing streaming service to Crunchyroll. The anime streaming company is just one of many streaming services to see a boom in subscribers during the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic and the ensuing stay at home orders. According to Deadline, the number of households subscribing to multiple streaming services rose to 61% in 2020 and from just 48% in 2019. This rise coincided with the decline in the amount of subscribers to traditional satellite and cable TV services. Alrighty then. So, so then this last story, we're 153 here. So actually, the last story I'll probably push to tomorrow night. This last story about Satoshi Kon, I'll probably push to tomorrow night because we're already kind of running a little long here. So, anyways, let's see what it says. Laugh out loud. I need to do a story on that Crunchyroll. They are celebrating by making another Western anime original. That's exactly what your subscribers want. Another high Guardian spice. I guess so, or at least that's what they think, anyways. All right, so we're gonna wrap up here, guys. Are you guys ready for this day in each history? So, are you guys ready for this day in each history? Because we're gonna wrap up right now here. You guys still here? Leto, Woody, Batgoat, you guys still here? Nietzsche, oh great Nietzsche King. Anyways. All right. Well, without any further ado, I'm going to wrap this up pretty quickly here. Hopefully, you guys are still here with me. I got the icon telling me that it's unstable, so I'm going to try to wrap this up before we really get too messed up here. All right. So today being Tuesday, August the 3rd, 2021, let's take a look back at this day in each history. And first off, we're going to go back to 1995. Or on this date in 1995, the 10th issue of Backlash from Image Comics Wildstorm imprint went on sale on this day in 1995, which was 26 years ago on this date. 22 pages. Story was written by Sean Ruffian, Jeff Maroth, and Brett Booth. Penciled by Melvin Ruby. Sandra Hage did the inking. Richard Starkings did the lettering, and Martin Jimenez did the coloring. So on this date, 26 years ago today, Backlash number 10 from Image Comics Wildstorm imprint went on sale on this date. So there's that one. Nietzsche good. Do 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 do. All right, so this one, we got 2 in 1 here in essence. So as I often say, guys, usually I say it, you know, 2000, well, the next two things are coming from 5 years ago, 2016. 2016 just so nice that we're gonna hit it twice here, both in animation and anime. As on this date 5 years ago today, Beat Bugs anime series would debut on Netflix. Also debuting on Amazon Video was a Crayon Shinchan spin-off anime. So on this date, 5 years ago today, Beat Bugs and the spin-off to Crayon Shinchan would both make their debut. Beat Bugs on Netflix and Crayon Shinchan on Amazon Video. So there we go. So that's it for tonight, guys. I thank you all for being here with me again, despite the technical difficulties we apparently had tonight. Hopefully, hopefully they'll get resolved. I know you guys want to get, and we're at an hour 56. So I thank you guys again for being here. I hope you guys will be back tomorrow night. I know y'all want to get over to Nick's. So until tomorrow, bye.